All right. What's in the box? Today we got why it sucked to be a hitman. Let's watch this together. See what it's talking about. And definitely, I could see it sucking. It's your job, so you run out of money, you gotta go kill someone for more. Let's see.
Hitmen are all over the world. Some of the most famous are from Italy,
scary.
Russia,
Imagine
Mexico,
being on
and
someone's
the
hit
United
list.
States. One of the most famous hitmen was Richard the Iceman Kuklinski. He was
Iceman.
associated with the mafia and worked for the Gambino crime family. As you can probably guess, with a name like the Iceman, this dude was scary. He was responsible for killing hundreds of people over several decades, and his nickname, the Iceman, came from his famous method of freezing his victims to make their time of death more difficult to determine. He was known for his brutal killing methods and his ability to stay calm and emotionless about his work. He claimed to have killed at least 100 people using poison, silenced guns to try and be as sneaky as possible,
Jesus.
and even crossbows if
Dropped
he
the
was
100
feeling
bomb.
extra sneaky that day. Yeah,
No,
this guy not
crossbows
only had
is
the coolest
crazy.
nickname ever, but he was also extremely insane. Freezing people, poisoning them, using crossbows? I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but I'm gonna stay as far away as possible from him. Some other insane hitmen were known as the Zetas. Cartels were known
Zetas.
for hiring hitmen to do their dirty work, executions, or eliminate rivals. The Zetas were a group of ex-special forces soldiers turned mercenaries for the cartel. These hitmen were feared for their ruthlessness and brutality. They became famous for their extreme violence, including beheadings and mass killings. Yeah,
Oof.
remind me to never mess with the Zetas. The last thing I need is my head to be chopped off. Their operations spread
true that.
terror across Mexico and even into the United States. I mean, who's not terrified of being beheaded? That might be the worst way to die. There were mainly two types of people that would go on to become hitmen. You had career criminals who spent much of their lives, well, committing crimes. A lot of these guys were a part of gangs or something like the mafia or the cartel. Basically, if there was a crime, they were committing it. These hitmen were often driven by the need for money, power, or as a way to move up the criminal ranks in their organizations. Your other option for a hitman were former military personnel or law enforcement officers who had specialized in combat, weaponry, and tactics.
What the
All the
hell?
main things you needed to hurt someone. These guys'
Dirty
experience
ass
in
cop.
handling high-stress
Turn off the camera
situations
and bring
and
you wherever.
killing people made them high-profile recruits for criminal organizations. You might be asking yourself, why would a former military man or police officer turn to a life of crime like being a hitman? Well, the short answer was usually money. The career criminals
Money.
usually grew up in rough environments where crime, violence, and poverty were part of everyday life. You
Oh, look at
usually
that
lived
poor
in a
baby.
neighborhood with gangs or organized crime groups. Even though you were a kid, you saw a lot of things probably no one should ever see. Sometimes your parents
That's
might
sad.
even have been involved in crimes themselves. Definitely not setting the best example. Career criminals' childhoods were anything but easy, and by the time you were a teenager, you usually started doing some serious illegal stuff between 13 and 17. You might have joined a gang, started hanging out with people involved in organized crime, or worked your way up in the criminal world. You learned how to fight, intimidate, and sometimes even try your best and use these weapons. You felt like the criminal world was the only place where you belonged. After all, this was all you knew. Now, you would probably think because of the nature of the job, putting your life at risk, killing people, and potentially spending the rest of your life in jail, that hitmen would make millions of dollars. Well, if you thought that, you would be, wrong. How much hitmen were paid depended on a lot of things. If it's a basic hit or low-level target, you could make anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000.
That's-
These people could be anywhere from a small-time
killing
criminal
someone, you
or
get
a rival
1,000,
gang member.
bro.
They weren't anyone special. These jobs typically involve less planning, fewer risks, and might not require you to use complex methods or equipment. A mid-level target could get you somewhere between $5,000 to $20,000. These hits involve a bit more planning, surveillance, and a higher level of risk. Targets might include mid-ranking members of criminal organizations or individuals with significant influence. Then you have the high-level target. These
The
could get
big
you between
boys.
$20,000 to $100,000.
Yep.
These were a higher risk target, such as a well-known gangster, a high-ranking corporate figure, or someone with strong political connections.
True.
These hits often require significant preparation, possibly including several weeks of surveillance, high-tech weapons, or even the assistance of a team. The risk of getting caught or even killed is higher, so the reward is obviously much more. And then the last ones are only saved for the best of the best, so definitely not you, but we'll talk about it anyway. These were usually political or celebrity hits, which were very high risk, high reward. For this big boy, you could get $100,000 to $1 million, or even more. These types of jobs come with huge risks, as they draw a ton of attention from law enforcement and may involve advanced planning, coordination, and even international travel. If the hit is unsuccessful, you may not be paid, or you may only be paid a reduced fee. Also, if you fail, the client could do some things you didn't want done to you. So, you better make sure that guy is dead. Some jobs might involve expenses that add to the overall cost, such as travel, weapons, or bribes to people who might be in the way. The same guy I mentioned earlier, the Iceman, claimed to have made around $50,000 for some of his jobs. But most of his contracts were more complex, involving multiple victims or additional planning, so people had to pay up to get Mr. Iceman over here. I wonder if he charged more for freezing his victims. By the time you reach your 20s, you entered the prime of your professional killing career. By now, you may have already been involved in your first killing. By this age, you're no longer just doing minor criminal activities. No, it was time for you to make your professional debut. The trauma caused by your first kill can stay with you for the rest of your life, leading to mental health issues like PTSD or guilt. You might even have the poor guy haunting you for the rest of your life. But as you become more experienced, you become numb to the killing. The emotional toll of killing or even planning killings may not have the same effect on you anymore. The more you participate in the world of organized crime, the more you may lose your sense of right and wrong, seeing murder as just a job and a way to pay your bills. The lifestyle of a hitman is extremely dangerous. You risk being caught by law enforcement, betrayed by the people closest to you, or even having another criminal kill you as a way to get back at you for your crime. So because of that, hitmen only had a life expectancy of about 30 to 40 years old. So look on the bright side. It might suck to be a hitman, but at least you don't have to be one for very long. You lived constantly on edge, never knowing when all your killings might catch up to you and you become the target of another killer. You were constantly paranoid, and because of this, you live in secrecy, constantly changing your appearance and maybe even getting plastic surgery to make sure no one would recognize you. Hopefully you don't get any uglier than you already are. By the time you reach your 30s, your life is almost over. Luckily, you begin to feel regret as you grow older and realize the consequences of your actions. You look yourself in the mirror, and let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. You might need plastic surgery after all, but you still looked yourself in the mirror and had to realize how many people you actually killed. You struggle with the guilt and wonder about the people's lives you've ended. What if they were going to become the doctor that cured cancer? What if they were going to become the first man on Mars? And what if they were going to end world hunger? Well, guess what? You ruined that for everyone. You also spent your entire life working and committed only to crime. Most hitmen didn't have time for a wife or kids. It was all crime, all the time. But at least you had a ton of people you killed and money to show for it. Oh wait, you somehow still didn't have any money and now everyone is coming to get revenge and kill you for all the people you killed? Well, I guess that's what you get for becoming a hitman, so, good luck.
Oh man, that was a good video. And this is a smaller creator, way bigger than me, but fairly new creator, Jinx. So shout out to him. If you liked the video, check him out, man. It's a good video. Good video.